a regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Welcome to another edition of Bearing Arms, Cam and Company. My name is Cam Edwards. Glad you're with me on the program today. We're going to be talking with our friend Rick Ector of Rick's Firearm Academy of Detroit about his upcoming annual training event, where he is hoping to reach some 1,500 women to provide them with free firearms training in the Detroit area. Now, you don't have to be a Michigan resident to attend. If you can make it there, you can take part in the training. We'll get all the details from Rick going up here in just a second. Before we get to that, we do need to mention Joe Biden's comments at the NAACP on Tuesday, where Biden said it would be cowardice not to ban the AR-15 and other semi-automatic rifles because an AR-15 was used in the assassination attempt on Donald Trump's life. Now, Biden also said during that same event that if we're going to talk about violence, we have to talk about guns, right? We can't ignore any of these violent crimes. Which begs the question, if Biden thinks that when an AR-15 is used in a crime, we should ban AR-15s, what does he think we should do with handguns, given that they are far more commonly used in violent offenses? Biden want to ban handguns? I mean, I know the Supreme Court has said you can't do that. That's unconstitutional, but when does that ever stop Joe Biden? And remember, the gun control lobby is pushing the Biden administration to adopt a new rule that would treat Glocks, perhaps other semi-automatic handguns, as machine guns, which would essentially ban them. Now, I don't know how likely it is that that rule is going to come into play between now and Election Day. When we talked with Pete Friselli, retired ATF Deputy Assistant Director, he said that the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention has been pushing the ATF to announce such a rule, but so far anyway, ATF Director Steve Dettelbach has not acquiesced. Desperate people do dangerous things, and Joe Biden is getting increasingly desperate to hang on to his job. So I think that option actually remains on the table between now and November. Now, I don't think there's any way you could propose that rule, go through the public comment period, and then implement it before November. Biden can't implement a gun ban. He doesn't have the votes in Congress. He can't implement all of the changes he's apparently willing to announce to the Supreme Court. Again, that would take a vote of Congress. He doesn't have the vote. So Biden is in the deal-making stage of trying to cling to his candidacy. And if he is trying to, garner the support of progressives, criminal justice reformers, he could make a move to try to shore up his support among the gun control lobby as well. So we are definitely going to be following not just the rhetoric from Joe Biden, but the actions from the White House going forward. All right, before we get to today's interview with Rick Ector, let's talk about this for just 1 second. Economists warn that massive tax hikes could devastate your IRA and 401k account as the stock market braces for impact. With inflation on the rise and global uncertainty looming, it is clear why central banks and savvy Americans are turning to gold. And if you have not had your eye on gold, it's time to make it a priority. Priority gold. Trust their team of proven professionals to help you diversify your savings with gold and silver. Call 1-800-405-GOLD or visit prioritygold.com/golden for a free gold info guide. Plus, see if you qualify for free shipping and storage. Experts agree that physical gold is one of the best ways to fortify your savings, no matter the economic climate. Act now to get your portfolio working for you while the market's golden. Call 1-800-405-GOLD to speak with a gold specialist or visit prioritygold.com/golden to learn more. That's 1-800-405-GOLD. And now, let's talk with the golden child of the Detroit firearms community, Rick Ector. He's not a child. He's older than I am. He's a grown man, but he is pure gold when it comes to instructing folks on how to safely and responsibly exercise their Second Amendment rights. My friend Rick Ector, let's start the conversation right now. Take a look and a listen. Rick, how you doing, man? Thanks for coming on the show today.
Hey, man, thank you for having me. It's always an honor and a privilege to be on your show.
Well, I love getting a chance to talk with you, and I love this event that you do each and every year. And it's coming up, right? We've got just a couple of weeks left.
Just a couple of weeks left. Not this upcoming weekend, but the following weekend on the 27th and the 28th. We're doing our 13th annual free shooting event for women, man. It's amazing how fast 13 years can fly by.
Right. It really is. And, the growth that you have seen over those 13 years is pretty amazing. I think it was the first year you put this on, you were hoping to train 50 women, right?
Well, that's what I ended up training, man. You know what? I had such high hopes. I was thinking I was going to train 1,000, but
right from the get-go.
I know, Rome wasn't built overnight, but we made it to a point where we started out with our maiden voyage of 50 intrepid souls who made their way to the event, and now I'm anxiously awaiting to see if we can get 2,000 women. Man, you know, we had almost 2,000 back in the year 2020, so we're hoping to possibly get close to that milestone this year.
You know, so it's interesting because 2020 was such a bizarre time, right? I mean, you had COVID and everything. You had what I call the great gun run of 2020, where gun sales spiked about 40%. A lot of first-time gun owners because, man, it seemed like the world was going crazy, right? I mean, people didn't know what was going to be coming next. They're like, all right, I want to be able to protect myself and my family. We saw a rise in violent crime. People were concerned about their personal safety. Well, here we are 4 years later, and Rick, I mean, look, man, the pandemic is over, but the world is not normal. I mean, it is still a chaotic place. We've seen some good news about crime rates, particularly in Detroit, where the homicide rate, according to police, is falling. But there is still that concern that I hear from a lot of Americans. They just don't feel secure. And so I'm curious. I mean, what are you hearing in the buildup to this event? Are you seeing a lot of interest? Are you getting a lot of interest from women who say, okay, I'm not a gun owner now, or maybe I just bought a gun, but I want to know how to use a firearm?
Interest is still sky high, man. You know, and it's the thing that I've mentioned before. You don't know really if it's more things happening or we're just in such an exciting age where we have access to an overwhelming amount of information inundating us with our cell phones, man. And every time you hear that audible beep on your phone, you look down and you see something interesting and in some cases tragic. We have no shortage of news stories here in local Detroit of various heinous crimes that occur. You look at the annual stats and you say, oh, okay, well, we can say, well, this year's tally is plus or minus last year, but there's still a growing dis-ease and unease that people feel about being safe in this this very interesting time that we find ourselves in, man. And we're looking to make this event available for our 13th consecutive annual event. We didn't take off for COVID. You know, 2020 was the year we had almost 2,000, and I'm looking to actually get it this year. I'm really optimistic we're going to do it this year.
I've got my fingers crossed for you. Obviously, I want to help however I can, which is why you're here, and anything else we can do to help spread the word. So first of all, you don't have to be a Michigan resident, right? I mean, if you can get to Taylor, Michigan, you can take part in this event, correct?
You know, if you can get here, by all means, we'll train you. You know,
Okay.
We've had people ride up from Ohio and Indiana. I haven't had a cadre of people fly in via plane, but look, if they come, I will train them.
That is good to know. All right. So if there are folks out there who are watching who maybe not themselves, because I imagine most of our audience, at least somewhat familiar with firearms, now never too much training, but if they know somebody who's interested, how do you sign up? How can people take part in this event on the 27th to 28th?
Oh, I made it very easy. You know, I have a sign up page. It's over at my flagship blog, legallyarmedindetroit.com. You go there, you'll find the story about the event. I have multiple links set up in 90-minute intervals. They find the selection on the day that's most amenable for them. I only want just a modest amount of information, your name, email address, and how many people you're bringing with you. And you show up and we'll take care of you. We'll make sure that we give you a range safety briefing in case you've never seen a gun before. We'll introduce you to the fundamental tenets of firearm safety, and you'll be paired up and matched with a vetted firearms instructor who will teach you and instruct you step by step through the process. And at the end of the day, you'll have a pretty silhouette with some nice holes in it, and you can post it on your social media. And then if you wish, you could explore those nascent beginning conversations about how to take on a more active role in your personal protection.
I was going to say, I mean, 13 years of doing this, how many folks have you kept up with who have, taken part in this training in the past, but then have reached out to you and said, hey, I just want to let you know, I got my concealed carry license, or, hey, I want you to know I became a firearms instructor myself. I mean, have you heard those stories?
Many of them contact me regularly. And you know what? I do a decent job of having an active presence in social media. People can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. I'm even on IMDb, man. And look, if you Google me, even without quotes, I'm so uh, prevalent and omnipresent that if you just Google my name without quotes, you'll find me, and you'll see a ton of appearances of me on your show
Yes, you will.
over the years. And that's one thing I want to make sure that I make it abundantly clear. I've had the honor of being familiar and acquainted with you for a number of years now, man. And I've been on your show a number of times, and it's truly an honor to have done so. And I just want to make sure that I let you know that I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you, Rick. And listen, man, it's not, I appreciate your kind words, but this is just two friends talking. It shouldn't be an honor to come on the show. I mean, you are one of the, you're just one of the best people I know. So I always love having a chance to hang out with you. I wish that I could get there in person. I keep saying that every year. And one of these years, my life is going to be calm enough that I will be able to get into a car and drive to Detroit. I've got family who's now not too far from the Detroit area, so I need to be paying them a visit at some point. So one of these years, in fact, I need to let my daughter, who lives in Ohio now, not far from Detroit, I need to let her know that this training is going on.
Maybe
I don't know what she has going on this weekend, but I'm going to tell her, hey, you know what? You need to drive up for this. So
she'll be warmly received. There'll be an ample opportunity to meet new friends and get reacquainted with people you've met before. There's going to be a plethora of information. Everything you'll need is there. And one of the things that I find is from every year when one person takes a chance on this event and they show up and they tend to come back, maybe not necessarily that next year, but somewhere down the line they return, but they bring folks in tow with them to the event, and it grows organically just by word of mouth and personal experiences to people for which they're acquainted. So
yeah.
look, I'm glad to keep doing it. I'll keep doing it as long as I can keep it going. And 13 and counting, man. Some people think 13 is unlucky. I'm going to say 13 is no more an unlucky number. It's lucky 13.
There you go. All right, listen, before we let you go, I got to ask, obviously if you're training 2,000 women, you can't do this by yourself. So how many other instructors are going to be there? And can you talk about the volunteers, the sponsors who help make this possible, donating ammo, things of that nature? Because I mean, this came from your brain, but you can't do it all by yourself.
There's no way in the world that I could. That very first iteration of this event, it took 6 other firearms instructors, and our goals were more modest than current, and it didn't take too much to do it. But as we've grown by leaps and bounds, we've trained up until now 8,300. No, excuse me, 10,300 women. Hopefully, we can get 1,700 to 2,000 during this iteration. There's firearms trainers who come every year. There's some that come whenever they can. They are definitely the unsung heroes of the actual event, because without them, we can't actually train the women. The sponsors have been great, from the NRA to the GOA to the local gun groups here in the state of Michigan, Michigan Coalition of Responsible Gun Owners, Michigan Gun Owners, Michigan Open Carry, a ton of folks, man. And, I hate to just start mentioning the people and the sponsors, because you're always going to leave someone out. The actual gun range itself, Recoil Firearms, right? They're a huge sponsor. It's all hands on deck. And if there are any individuals out there who are sufficiently credentialed and trained and want to come to Detroit and help us train these women on how to shoot, by all means, contact me, reach out to me. Once we assure that you have credentials from a respectable training organization, we'd love to bring you into the fold and help us train. And one of the synergies that come about from being a part of this event is that you meet other fellow trainers who are doing a lot of positive things, and you find a lot of joint ventures that happen after the event. So I dare say it is the networking event of the year in the firearms training community.
Well, listen, I am so pleased that the 13th year of this training event is getting ready to take place. I hope that it is a huge success, Rick. And will you come back after you've had a chance to, take a nap and decompress a little bit? Because I know between now and then you're going to be a very busy man. But after you've had a chance to just sort of, all right, take a breath. I can start planning next year. Will you come back and let's talk about how this year's event went?
Would love to come back on and do an after action report, and give the updated figures and tallies and some of the experiences and stories that actually happened on this upcoming weekend. Not this weekend, but next weekend on the 27th and the 28th. Again, all information is available on our flagship blog, legallyarmedindetroit.com. Again, thank you so very much for having me on the show. And I look forward to meeting these brand new, nascent, beginning shooters who are going to come out to the event.
Always a pleasure. And Rick, the honor is all mine, man. Thank you so much. LegallyArmedInDetroit.com. That is the website if you want to find out more information about this training event. Rick Ector, the man himself, thank you so much for joining me on the program, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Talk to you then.
My thanks again to Rick for joining me on the program. And not just because he feeds my ego so well. Oh, it's an honor to be on the show. He's got to stop with that. I love Rick Ector, and I love having a chance to have him on the show. So, again, LegallyArmedInDetroit.com. That's the website. I hope that you know somebody that would be interested in taking part in this training, even if you yourself are not able to do so, because it is a great event, and I'd love to see Rick get 2,000 attendees this time around. All right. Before we move on to today's Armed Citizen story, our good deed of the day, and our recidivist report, let's talk about this for a second. At the very heart of our democracy lies a principle that we hold sacred: free speech. It is the cornerstone that supports every freedom we cherish. Yet in today's digital age, discussions about our wealth, our rights, and our future are being silenced or overshadowed in mainstream narratives, leaving many of us feeling voiceless in conversations about our financial independence and security. And this is where wealth protection research comes in. Armed with a mission that has never been more critical, Wealth Protection Research is not a financial advisory firm. They're defenders of free speech, committed to giving a voice to the silenced. Now, they tirelessly seek out financial experts, particularly the voices that challenge prevailing narratives, and especially as we navigate the uncertainties of the 2024 election. Wealth Protection Research has created a 2024 election wealth protection report that highlights the 3 best ideas for protecting and growing your money heading into the 2024 election. It contains ideas the mainstream media won't touch, and listeners can get it completely free. Just text IDEAS to 76626 to claim your free copy. If you believe in the sanctity of free speech and the importance of financial freedom, then act now. Text IDEAS to 76626 to claim your free copy of this 2024 Election Protection Report. It's time to widen the scope of what we're told, to hear the ideas the establishment doesn't think you can handle, and to take control of our financial destinies. Text IDEAS to 76626 to claim your free copy. All right. In today's recidivist report, I have to give a shout out to, I think it's Fox 26 in Houston. I just discovered that they apparently have a regular segment on their news called Breaking Bond. Reporter Randy Wallace does this on a regular basis. He covers these repeat offenders who are getting out time and time again. And this time around, Randy Wallace says he ran across a 26-year-old woman who has had the most bonds that he's ever seen, who is now free after what he calls a sweetheart deal from a judge. Woman in question is named Aubrey Davis. And Randy Wallace says she is the perfect example of how the Harris County Criminal Courthouse has become a revolving door for robbers and thieves. He says in the 4 years that he's been doing Breaking Bond segments, he has never seen a defendant like Aubrey Davis. In 2020, Davis was sentenced to probation for robbery. And right after that, right after her probation ended, according to Andy Cahan with the Houston Crime Stoppers, she starts racking up double digits in charges and is released on bond like every time. a total of 16 separate bonds for Ms. Davis for both felonies and misdemeanors since last year, since 2023. And not just in the Houston area. Well, not just in Harris County. Galveston, Fort Bend County, Brazos County. Defense attorney Emily DeToto said, from what it appears, the offenses escalated. It went from civil property theft to actually harming an individual. But Houston Crime Stoppers Cahan says, well, she's back in the community. She's out. And Randy Wallace says that Aubrey Davis is now, in fact, a free woman after a visiting judge in Harris County gave her probation. Back in January, she admitted to stealing 243 cans of baby formula. Now, I couldn't, listen, if this was the theft of one can of Similac, and I can't feed my baby, I can't afford to feed my baby, I'm sorry, it was wrong, I know, but I was just desperate. I could understand a judge saying, all right, you know what, extenuating circumstances, you did the wrong thing, but maybe for the right reason, you need to walk away with probation, right? It would be unjust to put you behind bars for this. So pay restitution to the store and you're free to go. That'd be fine, or at least understandable, right? Stealing 243 cans of baby formula? Come on now. You're not looking to feed your kid. You're not looking to feed your neighborhood. You're looking to turn around and sell that and make some money off of it. So after she admitted to stealing the baby formula in January, in March, she allegedly robbed a Subway and seriously injured an employee who tried to stop her, as well as her accomplice. In that case, she pled guilty without an agreed plea bargain. So she basically threw herself at the mercy of the court, according to a defense attorney. And she got it. She got mercy. Randy Wallace says a visiting judge gave Davis a deal. Simple probation, man. For robbery. For robbery. With more than a dozen arrests since just last year, a judge in Harris County still gave her probation for robbing a Subway. The defense attorney that Randy Wallace spoke to, Emily DeToto, said cynics out there would say that visiting judges can come in, give good deals, and not be accountable to the electorate. The problem is that we don't just see this with visiting judges. The representative from Houston Crime Stoppers told Wallace, if I'm watching this, I'm going, the system's really screwed up. Aubrey Davis is the pinnacle of why we've lost faith in our criminal justice system. Yeah, an example of that. But again, we cover these stories every day. It's not just Harris County. It's not just Houston. It's not just visiting judges. It's not just Aubrey Davis. This is an issue within the criminal justice system itself. A revolving door that allows too many repeat offenders to get back into the streets with little to no consequences for their actions. And what message does that send? At the very least, it sends a message that the state doesn't care about the crimes that these individuals are committing. Worst case, it tells these criminals you can get away with robbery. And if you can get away with robbery, probably get away with the carjacking. If you can get away with the carjacking, you probably get away with a home invasion. If you can get away with a home invasion, you probably get away with murder. Right? These actions, allowing these repeat offenders to return to the streets, are, I think, doing far more damage to our public safety than any American exercising their Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. Speaking of armed citizens exercising their Second Amendment rights, let's talk about a self-defense story out of Pennsylvania where police say that no criminal charges will be filed in a shooting in Harrisburg. A act ruled self-defense after a road rage incident. The Dauphin County District Attorney Fran Chardo says that no one will face criminal charges in the death of a man named Paul Kadouf after Kadouf was shot on State Street in Harrisburg a few weeks ago, June 23rd, following a road rage incident in which he pepper sprayed a pregnant woman and a child. According to the Harrisburg Bureau of Police, which investigated the case, the individual who fired shots decided in a matter of seconds to protect his family. The DA, Fran Chardo, also says that the family was traveling to take someone to work when Kadouf allegedly yelled at them over a traffic matter. He then reportedly got ahead of them in his vehicle after the verbal altercation. The woman in the car called 911 at that point. She was concerned enough by Kadouf's behavior that she wanted the authorities to intervene. Kadouf then pulled into a parking spot in front of the Cathedral of St. Patrick on State Street in Harrisburg. The family, remember, he had gotten in front of them, right? So the family's still behind him at that point. Woman is on the phone with 911. Then they stop behind Cadiff's car. They don't get out or anything. They're just trying to get his license plate information so they can relay it to police. And then they're going to get out and walk away from Cadiff. Cadiff then gets out of the car, approaches the family's vehicle. This is before the family had exited. He sprays pepper spray inside the car, hitting the woman and the child in the back seat. During this time, the woman in the car grabbed her pistol, but she couldn't see. She had pepper spray in her eyes. So the male passenger took the pistol from her, fired a single shot at Cadiff, striking him in the upper chest, and he was killed almost instantly. According to the DA, the shooter and the victim did not know each other. Both the driver and the passenger of the car had a license to carry, and the DA again says the use of that firearm was lawful. The DA also said this case is a tragedy involving a misapprehension of the circumstances by Paul Cardiff and the passenger of the family vehicle, but the passenger's misapprehension was reasonable. He had to decide on the use of force to protect his family in seconds or less. Under Pennsylvania law, his actions cannot carry criminal liability. We extend our condolences to the Cadiff family. Now, I don't know that it's fair to say that this was a misapprehension of these circumstances. The DA is basically suggesting that maybe Cadiff felt like he was being threatened because the family had pulled in behind him. But nobody ever got out of that car. Nobody ever approached Cadiff. Cadiff could have driven away. Cadiff could have called 911 himself if he was that concerned. But that's not what happened. Instead, Cadiff got out of the car. Cadiff behaved aggressively. Cadiff pepper sprayed a woman and a child for no reason whatsoever. And under those circumstances, I don't think it was a misapprehension. I think it was reasonable for the adults in that car to be concerned that Cadiff wasn't going to stop there. Again, ultimately the DA, whatever the language she used, reached that same conclusion. And again, the individual who shot Mr. Cadiff, after Cadiff had pepper sprayed a pregnant woman and a child in that vehicle, will not be facing any charges. All right. Finally today, our good deed of the day, in the right place, at the right time, unable to do the right thing. A good Samaritan in Charlotte, North Carolina, who helped a train passenger after he was robbed of his cell phone. Now, I will say that, this could have ended badly. According to police, there was a passenger on I guess the Charlotte area transit system is called CATS. So there was a passenger on a CATS train who had his phone stolen. Guy just grabbed it and then ran off the train to the next stop. Passenger runs after the man, who then turns around and starts beating the guy whose phone he had just stolen. Victim told the Charlotte Mecklenburg police officers he called for help from other passengers, but nobody responded, at least among the crowd of people who were waiting on the train. A guy named Michael Zitkow, however, did act. He said that he had begun to walk up to the light rail station. He was on his way to UNC Charlotte for a meeting when he heard the cries for help. He told Queen City News the man was just truly pleading for help. Please help me. Said he's got a wife and kid. The suspect, according to Michael, put the victim's phone down his pants and then began to use both hands to punch the victim repeatedly. Rob was able to get some separation between Michael and the victim and then began to run towards the light rail when he was said to turn around again and began assaulting both individuals, Michael and the original victim here. That's when Michael Zitkow says he fought back. He wrestled the suspect to the ground. He, too, started asking for help. Didn't get any. He said, well, he did get some help. He said, thankfully, two guys came over and started to help me. So the three individuals were able to hold the suspect down until officers arrived and took him away. Michael said the suspect had a backpack with additional phones in it. Local police have not confirmed that the suspect is linked to other crimes like this, but according to MyFox 8, the suspect in this case has been suspended from using any form of public transportation for a year. Yeah, I mean, he's facing criminal charges too, but just a 12-month suspension for getting on light rail or a bus there in Charlotte because of the actions there. Again, what were we just talking about a lack of consequences? Yeah. All right. Well, thankfully, Michael Zitkow was in the right place at the right time, willing and able to do the right thing to help a stranger. And again, this could have gone sideways. I'm glad that it didn't. And I'm glad that Zitkow ultimately was able to get some help from those passengers. But at the same time, I can understand, right? I can understand these individuals saying, hey, I don't want to get involved. I don't know if this guy's got a knife. I don't know if this guy's going to hurt me. I'll just step back. Unfortunately, that is going to be the reaction of a lot of folks, which is another reason why we need to be able to carry and protect ourselves, even in places like, public transit, which is considered a gun-free zone in many cities across the country. All right, that is going to do it for this edition of Bearing Arms, Cam and Company. I want to thank you for being a part of the program, as always. And thanks again to my friend Rick Ector for joining us on the show. LegallyArmedInDetroit.com. That's the website. I'll give it one more plug in case you or somebody you know wants to sign up for this free firearms training. LegallyArmedInDetroit.com. All right, we will see you back here tomorrow for another edition of Bearing Arms, Cam and Company. In the meantime, don't forget to check out BearingArms.com. And again, I'm going to remind you, we have a great special going on right now for VIP and VIP Gold memberships. Just use the promo code MAGA24. When you go to BearingArms.com/subscribe, you get 60% off your VIP or VIP Gold memberships. You'll get exclusive content, an ad-free experience, the ability to comment on stories. If you have a VIP Gold membership, you'll get that not just at Bearing Arms, but across the Town Hall Media family of websites. It's a fantastic deal. I would encourage you to take advantage of it. And thank you again for showing your support for all the work we're doing here at Bearing Arms. Have a great rest of your Hump Day Wednesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Until then, be well, be safe, and be free.